UA6ED. Is there any emergency or priority traffic before we start the SOARA Elmer Saturday TechNet? Okay, just to let everybody know with high wind conditions and everything, if there is a fire watch or any emergency or priority traffic today, this net will yield. Okay, let's see who's out there. If you'd like to join the net, please call now. WB6 audio.
Alpha Echo 6 Hotel, Ray.
36 CAG. Copy in hand. Okay, we got WB6RDO, AE6H, and W6CAG. Anybody else like to join the net? Please call now. Okay, I guess that's the four of us today. Well, I have a question for the net, and that is, why do UHF and VHF radios don't need a tuner? I know we can hang an antenna analyzer on it and see if it's roughly okay within the range for UHF, VHF, but on HF, everybody uses a tuner, practically. So anyway, that's my question for the net. If anybody has a comment, please call now.
AE6H.
Okay, go ahead, Ray.
Well, I can offer some educated guesses, and I think perhaps the most salient one is the various HF bands are much wider, not only in actual numbers of hertz or megahertz, but the fact that the wavelength is much longer. So things are stretched out, if you will. So it's much easier to be high SWR at some point in the band without a tuner. And so with HF, we frequency hop a lot. And so some people like to use a single antenna, but on 5 or 6 bands. So definitely need a tuner when that's in play versus VHF, UHF. So those bands, especially in the FM phone portions, are pretty narrow. And of course, the antennas, as you get shorter and shorter at higher frequencies, become more band tuned, if you will. They pick a midpoint and it's close enough. And in fact, you especially see this around 800 or 900 megahertz or above. The antennas are just, band tuned, as they say, and they'll cover a pretty wide range. Over to that, AE6H.
Well, thank you, Ray. That was pretty good. I didn't think about wavelengths and stuff like that. I was thinking about the stuff at work that's 60 to 70 gigahertz and 70, 80, and the width of the band is like 10 gigahertz, and we use all of it. And I said, how come we don't need a tuner? That's probably why, the band tune thing. Any other comments? Please call now. W6CAG. Go ahead, Claude. WA6ED. Okay, W6CAG. Good morning, everybody. I agree with much of what Ray is saying. Although I think, Ray, you kind of got one thing maybe a little wrong, and that is the width of the bands at UHF or VHF are much. The number of megahertz in the 2 meter band, which is from 144 to 148, at 4 megahertz. That in itself is, I believe, probably more, I might say, wider in terms of number of megahertz or kilohertz or whatever we're going to call it than all of the bands 80 through 10 meters combined. If you were to just stack them hard, one against the other. The thing about the HF bands is that people use all kinds of different antennas that they make their own. They kind of cobble them out either wire or tubing or whatever. All kinds of different shapes and sizes, and so they need to be tuned. And they are, as Ray pointed out, the antennas base tend to be a little broader in the VHF, UHF range. And there really isn't any market for them, You can't go out and buy one. And the companies figure nobody's going to buy them. Anyhow, enough. Go ahead there. Okay, WA6ED for the SOARA TechNet. Are there any other comments before I ask for more questions? I was just thinking, one of those things, this is odd. Tuner here, no tuner there. How come my UHF, VHF doesn't have a tuner? Well, that all makes me think a lot about that because the bandwidth is a lot wider on UHF, VHF. So Anyway, all right. Any other comments? Please call now.
Bay E6H.
Go ahead, Ray.
Okay, I just nothing personal, but I'd like to take exception to one thing that Clark said, and that is nobody makes, and he may be actually correct right now, nobody makes tuners for VHF, UHF, and MFJ, when they were in business at least, did in fact make a tuner for UHF, VHF, and also a separate tuner for 6 meters, which were available. I can't give you the model numbers right now, but I've just been shopping for one of the MFJ tuners used, and it seems like their value has skyrocketed. That's MFJ building them. But that said, I stumbled across. I'm looking for an HF tuner, obviously, but I stumbled across some VHF, UHF, and some 6 meter models as well. So I don't think they made very many, and I would agree probably didn't sell very many. But they, in fact, did offer them back in the day. Over the net, 86-inch.
Well, thank you, Ray. I did not know that, WA6ED. And, yeah, it makes sense to have something to play with anyway. I would have probably bought one of each just for fun. But anyway, any other comments before we move on? Okay, let's see if anybody wants to join the net. If you'd like to join the SOARA Elmer Saturday TechNet, please call now. All right, does anybody have a question? Otherwise, I'll just go to round robin and do a hello round. Okay, Bud, WB6RDO, you can hand it over to Ray, AE6H, and Ray, you can hand it over to Claude, W6CAG. Claude, just hand it back to Ned. Good morning, everybody. WB6RDO, WA6ED, take it.
WA6ED and the group. This is WB6RDO. Good morning, everybody. Long time I haven't been on. I finally got a way to get back on the air until I get my stuff on the back on the chimney. I stuck a mag mount mobile antenna on my barbecue top, and I can hit this repeater and 144.025, and that's about it. But glad to check in. Sorry for my absence. And as soon as I get my antennas back up after we do our terminating, and then I'll have a little more power going and be able to hit more repeaters. Anyway, over to AE6H. This is WB6RDO.
Thanks, Bud, and this is Ray, AE6H. Good morning, everybody. Looks like it's going to be a nice day, albeit a little breezy here in Dana Point. I don't know about what's kind of protected down under the hill a little bit, but here up on a little bit more exposed area, we're getting some pretty good gallons. But as I say that, it appears to have died down looking outside at the bushes. But anyway, I hope so, because dies down, that is. I have a project that the wind will not be helpful with. So anyway, good morning, everybody, as I said already, and I'll turn it over to Claude.
Thank you, Ray. Good morning again, everybody. Ray, Bud. Hey, good to hear you on, Bud. Good hearing you on yesterday, checking out your long BQ antenna. Awesome. You can figure out a way to be on the air at the same time, making some ears of beef or something there on the barbecue. That'd be an interesting antenna. Huh? Barbecue beef antenna. Oh well, working fine. Working good here on the repeater anyway. And Ray, it is definitely windy here on the hill in Lake Forest. I've got a tree that's outside window of my shack here, and it's whipping back and forth. I'm up on the second floor, and it's swaying full width of the window one way and then the other way, and making all kinds of racket. I went up to the third floor and checked on my antennas are still standing fine. It'd take a pretty good blow to knock over my mag loop, which has a very low center of gravity. But the way I've got it set up on the mounted. It's not tied down, but it's on a weighted mount, sitting up there on the deck. In amongst Mimi's plants, there was something else I was going to comment on, but I'm lucky to keep the current thoughts in, much less the ones that were in the background. I think on the back end of this one, so over to you there, SW6CHE. Well, thank you, Claude, WA6ED, and this is the SOARA Elmer Saturday TechNet. And yeah, it's a bit windy here too, Ray. When I got up, it's been windy all morning. It was windy yesterday, and I guess it's not supposed to stop until 5 p.m. on Sunday. That's at least I think that's the last I saw. Yeah, it's good to have you back there, bud. Yeah, fencing the house. I just asked my wife the other day. I said, "What do we do for termite inspection?" You know, that's one of the bad things about living in Southern California. One of the few bad things, I guess. But anyway, yeah, just sitting here 3D printing parts for work, and we're printing them out of polycarbonate, and that's been a challenge. But it's basically for the gimbal for an antenna, so that we can auto position things. So it should be, it's a fun project to work on. And the mechanical stuff is what I've been 3D printing and doing brass inserts with a heat, it's basically a glorified solder iron, and they heat press them in. And polycarbonate's pretty strong stuff, so I think it ought to hold up. We'll see. But we do have bearings in there and stuff like that for the pivots. Okay, let's see if anybody else wants to check in. If you'd like to check into the SOARA Saturday TechNet, please call now.
Kilo 6 November, Oscar Victor.
Okay, good morning, Ray. Take a turn. WA6ED.
All right, well, hey, good morning, everyone. Nice blustery day out there. Always anything weather different, like rain, cold, wind, I always like it. Although I know wind's not good for fires, but I do like the blustery wind out there. Organizing my stack today. I'm kind of redoing a couple things and doing that sort of thing. So I think that's the only ham radio related thing I have going on today. But good morning to everyone. And I kind of joined late, so I don't know who was all there. But I'll send it back to net control. K6NOV.
Okay, Ray, thank you. And you'll find out in just a minute. Because we're going to do another round. But Claude, next time around, hand it to Ray, K6NOV. And let's go up to the top, over to Bud. Take it away, Bud. WB6RDO, WA6ED.
W6ED, this is WB6RDO. Yeah, good morning, Ray and Ray. I think we need another Ray, so somebody else check in with Ray. Anyway, glad to be back on the air, and at least on UHF anyway. I've always had the HF over here because I'm running a vertical ground mounted, so it doesn't get involved with the termites. Although we're going to have to replace the back fence, which one leg of my guy wires is going to holding the vertical up, so I'm going to have to find a different way to guide the antenna while the fence comes down and goes back up. And just want to say 73s, I got a dog here that says he wants to go for a walk, so I know what the result will be if I turn him down, so we're going to do that. Good old Banjo wants to go for a walk. Anyway, 73s to everybody, and nice to check in, and we'll see you all very soon. WB6RDO saying 73s. And over the Ray.
Thanks, Bud, and give Banjo a pat for me, and to enjoy your walk. I always marvel at watching all the dogs in the morning out exercising their humans. Anyway, let's see. Don't have much to add. I've been subject to tuners came up. I just went to eBay to check for the tuner I would like to have, and it's there, but it's a ridiculous price. So we'll pass along. One thing I stumbled across is that quite often, at least for the MFJ tuners, I had the same experience. I managed to snag one at a SOARA auction at a very reasonable price, but it worked. The fix was simple and cheap. and that is, at least with the MFJs, the isolating diodes tend to go on, especially if somebody happens to hook them up backwards. In other words, the transmitter to the antenna side and the antenna to the transmitter side, and then transmit with full power. That can cause some issues. So usually what happens, the diodes manage to protect the tuner, but of course it's no longer registered or tuned. So anyway, or, it may well tune. It's the meter diodes that like the ones that go out, so you don't get the benefit of checking the SWR with the internal meter on the tuner. Anyway, just a little observation there. So you have to pull across the tuner, manual tuner that you like. It, if it's an MFJ, that could very well be the issue if it doesn't work. It's just the diodes are blown. Anyway, let's see. Over to Claude.
Okay, there'll be 6KG here. 7-3 to you, but see you later. I think we commented about one of the penalties of living in Southern California is termites. Let me clue you in that they're just a bigger problem up further north in the Bay Area. I've had to go through denting my house a time or two living up there in the Bay Area too. So yeah, that seems to be a California problem, but it certainly is a problem up and down the state. One saving grace, I suppose, is that when you have houses that are built on a slab, like many of the houses here in California, which are built without below ground basements, just so that the earthquakes won't kind of tip the rest of the house over and have them kind of fall into that hole. When most of the termites would actually live in the ground, so it does help to minimize the termite issue. So Ray, I guess it's over to you, and whatever else I was thinking of talking about, I'll have to wait for it to kind of make its way around the circulator here and pop up again next time. Over to you, Ray. K6NOV and ZW6CAG.
Thanks, Claude. Good morning, Ray, and good morning, Bud, if you're still listening, and good morning, Ed, of course. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything more to add, other than just hanging out with the ham shack here, trying to reorganize things. And thanks for the reminder on termites. It's probably about time I get a termite inspection again as well. So I'll get that on the books. That's a good reminder. So I'll pass it back to Ed, K6NOV.
Well, thank you, Ray, WA6CD. And let's see if there's any other check-in. I know Bud said 73. Did you just say 73 as well, Ray? I'm sorry. K6NOV?
That's, I'm still in K6NOV.
Okay, well, I got caught looking up antenna tuners. Thanks to the other Ray. Is there anybody that would like to check into the net? Please call now. Okay, this is W6CD for the SOARA Saturday TechNet, and yeah, I'm just sitting here looking at antenna tuners now. But and UHF VHF ones are a little pricey up on eBay. I think Ray is right. It's kind of interesting when people quit making stuff. One of the guys at work was talking about the different kind of game cards and stuff, all these different weird fantasy games and stuff. And he says, yeah, after they quit making them, that the price can double or triple. And I said, man, that looks like an investment opportunity. I don't know, a very good one, but then probably not very liquid either. Anyway, yeah, antenna tuners are kind of interesting beasts. They don't necessarily make your antenna any better, but at least it'll be matched. And that's a good thing for your transmitter. Okay, let's get it over to Ray, AE6H. Take it away, WA6ED.
Thanks, Ed. And yeah, you're right. Antennas don't necessarily do a thing for your antenna. They make your radio happy. So at least if your antenna isn't so bad that you can't bring it in. The nice advantage to the manual ones is they have a little more range that the auto ones do, and especially the internal auto tuners in many radios can't handle antennas that are as badly unmatched, if you will, as non-resonant as the manual tuner seems to be able to do. Anyway, in fact, my Sigma vertical that I brought to field day a couple of times a couple of years ago, they even specify which bands, that's a 6-band antenna, they specify which bands an auto tuner will work and which bands you definitely need a manual tuner because it's so far out of resonance. Anyway, I don't have much more on that subject, so I'll turn it over to Claude.
Okie doke. W6CAG here. Yeah, tuners. I've got an MFJ auto tuner here that's sitting around in the garage now. I don't use. I've been thinking about deciding whether I want to find a new home for it. It's the kind that you can stick out at the antenna and then run the power up the coax with what they call a bias T. Seems to work okay. I had some ideas for random wires here and it didn't work out for me at my location. You mentioned tuners, so I thought I'd mention that. You seem to be looking for a manual one. Back in the day, I just dreamed about being able to afford a Johnson Matchbox. You got to be an old timer to remember those. Completely manual. The five historical bands, 80 through 10, balanced or unbalanced. And they came in two sizes, the 250 watt size and the kilowatt size. And they were the go-to tuners back then. There were some other ones with the roller reductors and that sort of thing. But, I assume you're looking to do something for your travel trailer there, Ray. Maybe I got it wrong. Okay, who do I turn it to? Over to Ray, another Ray, NOV. Over to you, Ray, W6CAG.
Well, I have to say, I have a LDG auto tuner, the AT200O2, which I bought from Ed, and I really like that tuner. It'll tune my off-center fed dipole. Where on some of the bands, I think I'm up to like a 10 to 1 SWR, and it'll even tune that. And I'm sure I'm not super efficient getting out, but it'll tune it, and I can, make contacts on those bands. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. And there's a way to kind of force it to tune or into auto tune, and it runs through the cycle and gets them all in there. So definitely like it. I'm going to pass it back to Ed, and then Ed, I do think I heard it doubled after you asked for check-ins the last time. So there might be somebody out there who's looking to check in. So back to net control, K6NOV.
Okay, WA6ED, if you'd like to check into the net, please call now.
KN6ASR Dion.
Well, good morning, Dion. Sorry we doubled. Go ahead and take it. Take a turn right now. It's your turn. Okay, WA6ED.
Yeah, that's okay. I was working with some settings on my little handheld last night, and I wasn't getting the return from the repeater, not this repeater, but other repeaters. And anyway, I just wanted to check in this morning and make sure that I was getting my repeater tone again on the radio, and just want to make sure that I got checked in. It's interesting that you heard my double before because I was on a different PL tone than what we're on now. So just listening in this morning and back to net.
Okay, well, thank you, Dion. And on the next round, let's go ahead and do a 73 round for the next round, and then Ray, you can hand it to Dion. Dion, you can hand it back to net. Bud's out. So over to Ray, 86H. Take it, Ray.
Thanks, Ed. This is Ray, 86H, and for Dion, yeah, the reason we were able to hear you is because you were doubling, and you had the wrong PL, as you said. So, but the person you doubled with was transmitting the right PL, therefore the transmitter opened up and we could hear you. That sometimes happens. And if we, on nets, we've had situations where just exactly that, we can hear the other party when somebody who does have the right PL transmits. So again, you were riding on the coattails, if you will, of whoever that might have been Ed, doubled with you. So that would explain why having the wrong PL, we can still hear you. And let's see, I'm going to turn it over to Claude. 7-3, everybody. Beautiful day. Wind seems to have died a little bit here, so I may be able to do my project after all. Well, AE6H, over to Claude.
Okay, and there it is, the 73 round, and a question popped into my head thanks to you there, Ray. And that is, if I come into the system on, let's say on 220, and of course the 220 and the 40 systems are tied together, and then somebody else comes in on the UHF input on 1242 180 without PL. Would we hear them, or would it not get through the receiver without the PL? Curious. I'm sure Ray knows the answer. 7-3, everybody. You have a great day, a great week. Maybe I'll chat with some of you tomorrow morning on 10 meters when we get to try that. All right. And Dion, hello. I didn't say hi to you. Hi and bye. Over to you, Ray, A6NOV, and the net W6CAG 73. Go ahead.
Thanks, Claude. I'm going to take a guess. I don't know if it's right, but I'm going to guess that it wouldn't pick up the other call because the trans or the receive portion of the repeater on UHF wouldn't be, or on 440 wouldn't be open. It would be only the 220 repeater that was open. So that's my guess. But good question. And I will say 73 to 1. Oh yeah, and good morning, Dion. And 73 all. Have a good rest of the weekend. And over to Dion, KN6ASR, K6NOV.
I have a question about the 10-meter net. What frequency is that on, and does that use a repeater?
This is the 10-meter net is on 28.415 plus or minus, and it is not on a repeater. Back to Dion, and then after Dion, let's hand it over to AE6H to maybe try to answer Claude's question. Take it away, Dion, WA6ED.
KN6 ASR, thanks for the net. KN6 ASR back to net.
Okay, thanks, Dion, and you're welcome to join us. It's 28.415. And the reason I say plus or minus is sometimes we have to move up or down because of other stations, especially during contesting. Sometimes we don't even have a net. It's so busy if there's a contest going on 10 meters. Okay, over to Ray, AE6H, and then I'll shut her down. Take it away, Ray, if you want to try to answer Claude's question.
Thanks, Ed. This is Ray, AE6H. And real quick to Dion, I don't know if it's the 10-meter net is single sideband, and the repeaters are all on FM, so that would explain why it's not. And they're in a different portion. The FM portion of 10 meter, the band plan is it's a bit above the single sideband pole portion. Anyway, and over to Claude's question, maybe, and Ray is possibly right, because I'm not sure, this would be a question for Brian, I'm not sure how this particular repeater controller is configured up on Santiago Peak. There's a couple of options. One, depending on the model and the repeater configuration, or the controller configuration. In some cases, the controller is the one that controls the PL too as well, and in some cases, the PL part is done by the radio receiver itself. So Again, I'm not clear on how this one is configured up on Santiago Peak, so either option is potentially possible. With that, 7-3 everybody, 86H over to net.
Okay, well, thank you, Ray, and thank you, everybody, for joining this net. And it's still fun, even though there was about 5 of us this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. So that's pretty good. All right, this net is now closed until next weekend. And everybody have a great day. WA6ED.